This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and today we're going to look at another cool Windows 8.1 8-inch tablet. This is the Lenovo Miix 2.8. What a name, right? Mix with two I's first off. Why? We don't know. 2 because it's second generation, and 8 because it's an 8-inch. So Lenovo Miix 2.8. Anyway, 8-inch Windows 8.1 tablet running on an Intel Atom Quad Trail Bay Trail CPU. That's that new CPU that's a lot faster than the old Atoms. IPS display, very bright. Slim, attractive tablet. We're going to look at it now. So here it is, yet another really cool Windows 8.1 tablet. 8 inches, obviously it fits in a single hand. Yes, I do have big hands, but it still does fit. Full Windows 8.1 32-bit here. This is not Windows RT, so you can actually run Windows desktop applications. That means your Photoshop, your Corel Paint, your Chrome, whatever it is you want to install, you can put that on here. Obviously there are limitations. This is a $300 product with an Intel Bay Trail Atom CPU inside. This is not super duper smart, fast, lightning powered. This is not Surface Pro 2 in a teeny box. No, it's not. This is still Atom. It's a lot faster than last generation Atom. It can handle Office, and by the way, Office is included in the 2013 Student and Home Edition. That gets you Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote. It does not get you Outlook, however. Anyway, those things run fine on here. So as a tablet that works as a tablet, you can read magazines on here, you can do Zinio on this, you can use PDFs, that whole kind of thing like that. It plays music, it plays videos, as you might expect. You can use Windows Media Player or the LiveTile application to play video. That means, by the way, Windows Media Player means you can use third-party codecs as well. You can do all those things a mobile OS tablet would do. Those are popular uses for those tablets, but you can also do your productivity work with genuine full MS Office, not some feature-reduced version or some third-party imitation of Office. It's the real thing for those of you who are Office lovers. You can install any browser you want on here, Chrome, Firefox, Flash Player is built into the operating system. You want to install QuickTime or any other browser plugin, you can do that too. So that's the appeal of this over an Android or iPad tablet. That said, it's a whole lot like the Dell Venue 8 Pro that we recently reviewed. Also $299, also Windows 8.1 Intel Bay Trail Quad-Core Atom tablet. In part, it's going to be which brand you prefer. Some people love Lenovo, some people love Dell. And by the way, Toshiba has their Encore, for those of you who are Toshiba fans. And Acer has the Iconia W4 that replaces the last gen W3 that was kind of meh because of the display and the last gen Intel Atom CPU. So there's going to be a lot of competition at this same price point and size. Well, let's take a look around. 1280 by 800 IPS display. Again, that seems to be standard for these Tier 1 brand 8-inch Windows 8.1 tablets. Very nice, very sharp display, just like on the Dell. Very bright also, 400 nits. Where the Dell has auto brightness set to basically make it too dim to see, this one by default is actually kind of too bright out of the box. Interesting that. Very thin, 0.33 inches. It weighs 0.77 pounds. That's about an ounce and a half lighter than the Dell Venue Pro 8, so not a huge difference there, but a little bit of difference. Not a bad looking tablet. Where Dell goes for that rugged kind of rubbery cover, Lenovo and also Toshiba with the Encore go for that kind of faux metal look, and that's exactly what you got here with a whole lot of stickers on the back, a little strip of metal on the bottom over there. Your speaker is here. Now Lenovo says this has stereo speakers. Maybe they're playing the Asus Transformer game where they said they had stereo speakers, but they put them side by side in one little grill, so there was no separation. I have not taken this apart. It's a sealed unit, so I can't tell you if there's 1 or 2 drivers in there, but suffice to say the sound comes out of only this one spot right there. 5 megapixel camera unadorned. They're not really bragging and putting any labeling on that. Up top we have our 3.5 millimeter combo audio jack headphone mic. I suppose top is a relative term since you can use this in both portrait and landscape modes. There's our power button. This is our volume rocker. Here is our MicroSD XC card slot. There will be a 3G version with a SIM available as well, so obviously there's enough room right there for a micro SIM as well if they're going to put in a slot. This just has a blank placeholder. And here we have the micro USB port, USB 2.0. This is used for both charging and as a USB host port, just like the Dell Venue 8 Pro. Unfortunately, they don't include a USB host adapter in the box, so you're going to have to find one, and they're not that easy to find. You have to go to some of the geekier electronic stores like Fry's or Micro Center. You can order them on Amazon. Little adapter lets you use any USB peripheral you want. Again, this is full Windows. 3G, 4G USB dongles, printers, game controllers, anything that's USB and has Windows drivers you can use with this. Pretty cool, right? On the front face here, obviously, we have the display. Accelerometer handles rotation. Sometimes there's a little delay there. And we have a capacitive home button right there. And it has a little haptic feedback. So that switches us between all the applications that we have running. It's a little different from the Dell that uses a side button, and also the Transformer Book T100 that does the same. Looks pretty decent. Looks pretty nice. There's no flex on this. I think it's a reasonably nice styled product. And again, it's about the same size as the Dell Venue 8 Pro. And I'm going to show you that right now in comparison. They're just about identical in size. Really, there's just no difference here per se. Dell, just maybe a hair taller if we stack them up like that. I mean, we're talking about fractions of a millimeter there. Difference, though. Difference in the back styling is Lenovo has that metal look, and Dell goes for the concentric swirled, rubbery, soft touch black plastic kind of thing. And here we have it with the iPad mini with Retina display, a more expensive product, the Retina model right here. So for those of you who are saying, wow, 1280 by 800, what a lame resolution. Number one, no, it's not, because Windows really handles typography nicely and images too. It looks pretty darn sharp, and this costs less than the iPad mini with Retina display. But anyway, you can see the difference in size is really due to the difference in aspect ratio, because the iPad is a 4:3 aspect ratio rather than widescreen, so it's going to be wider but shorter. In terms of thinness, well, they're both darn thin devices. So, and lastly, here it is next to the Nexus 2013 edition. This is the Nexus 7, the tall kind of narrow thing, and that's a 7-inch tablet, so this is of course going to be a little bit smaller. It's also cheaper at $229, but it really depends on whether you need Windows or you need Android. Windows operating system licenses do cost some money, Android does not, so therein lies some of the difference in the pricing. In terms of thickness, you're looking at about the same thing, both thin tablets. It's pretty close in weight too. Nexus has the black plastic back, and there they are. As you can see, because this is an IPS display, it has wide viewing angles. If anything, you're dealing with the glare that you can see here more than the fading of the display. Inside, all these Windows 8.1 8-inch tablets are going to have the same specs. You're looking at the latest generation Intel Atom Bay Trail CPU. That's a quad-core 4-thread CPU. Uses just 2.2 watts of power compared to the Ultrabook ULV CPUs that use 15 watts. So pretty power frugal, fanless design, quiet. The processor number is the Z3740. Dell uses the Z3740D. Very minor differences there, not much to speak of. It's 1.33 gigahertz, has turbo boost to 1.86 gigahertz. For benchmarks, on PC Mark 7 it scored 2458. For W Prime it computed pi in 36.76 seconds. Geekbench 3 single core 794, multi-core 2586. That puts it right there with the other Bay Trail systems that are running on the same CPU with the same hardware inside. So you're not going to see a whole lot of variation. Again, this is going to be about styling and brand preference features, even though, well, they're going to have mostly the same features. For example, just like the Dell Venue 8 Pro, there is no HDMI port on this. There's Miracast wireless display, which is a newer superset of WiDi. So you can use wireless display, but unless you get into using things like USB docks, which are pretty darn expensive, and dongle adapters to connect that, you're not going to get wired video out on this. 2 gigs of DDR3 RAM, that is soldered on the motherboard. You cannot upgrade that. And storage, just like last gen Atom platform, it's eMMC style storage. That's really permanently installed micro SD card, so it's not as fast as a SATA 3 SSD drive used in an Ultrabook. It's available with 32 gigs for $299. Now 32 gigs on this particular unit leaves us with 8.9 gigs available for storage. That's all. That's not a lot. You can use the micro SD card to put your media files, your videos, your music, your books, whatever you want on there, but programs you got to install on internal storage. So if you really intend to go to town and really put something like Photoshop in this and some other large applications or games, you probably want to go for the 64 gig version, which by list price is $50 more, $350, though Lenovo right now is selling it for $329, so it's going to vary a little bit, but you get the idea. 64 gig I would recommend, honestly, just for that reason. The tablet does not get hot, even if you're playing games for a while. It will get warm on the back. It doesn't get hot. Like I said, no fan on there, so no problem. In terms of speed, at first it felt a little slower than the Dell Venue 8 Pro, but then I removed the bundled McAfee 30-day trial, and oh, was that the devil? Let me tell you, it got a lot zippier. It didn't affect synthetic benchmark performance, but the usability of this, particularly when you're in the Windows desktop mode, and there it is, your full Windows desktop in 8 inches of glory, made a big difference. My suggestion is get rid of that 30-day McAfee trial as soon as you get one of these, and it's going to feel a lot more responsive. Before, I had hesitation just doing things like looking at my computer and looking at what was on my hard drive, perusing the network, all that kind of thing. So, yeah. As you can see here, we have the normal Windows Explorer. It's completely your Windows experience. Everything you can do with Windows, you can do here. It'll just be a bit slower. This is about half the speed on synthetic benchmarks of a Core i5 Ultrabook. Experientially, you know, if you're just moving around the Windows desktop, it's going to seem a little bit slower. If you're installing programs, it will definitely seem slower because eMMC storage is a slower medium, but it's pretty darn tolerable. If you're using Photoshop on this and you're working with raw files and applying filters, it's going to seem half the speed of a Core i5. When it comes to using live tile applications, very, very zippy. It's going to be a little bit faster than RT in that respect. The Bay Trail is a pretty fast quad-core CPU. If you're wondering how the screen looks, we're going to take a look at the news application because Microsoft does a beautiful job of handling that. In fact, we'll look at the sports part of the news section. So really nice, sharp-looking, good colors on this, reasonably good color gamut. This is not like a 100% sRGB kind of display, but it's at about 60% of sRGB, so that's pretty darn nice. It's pleasing, it's bright, looks good. Speeds all around are quite good. Metro games, no problem on this. If you want to play your Halo on this for Metro, just fine. Now, if you want to play something like Civ on this, I know some of you have been talking about that a lot. And Civ is a fun game, Civ 5, because it actually supports touch for input. You know, yes, you can get it to run, and you can run it at low resolutions, which is certainly advisable because Intel HD graphics on this is not the sharpest knife in the box, shall we say. But the thing with games like Civ is it's very CPU intensive. So you'll notice as the game progresses, your turns take an awful long time. World of Warcraft on really low settings, yeah, okay, you can do that. Minecraft, you can do it on that, but you're not going to be playing Battlefield 4 on this. This is not meant to be your main PC in general for those kinds of reasons. Now we're in desktop mode right here. We're using IE. We could also use Chrome. IE, Internet Explorer, actually has better touch support, so I prefer using it on touchscreen models like this. And we're going to test out video playback and listen to how that mono speaker sounds. And we'll go to our Dell Venue 8 review. And you can see how quickly web pages load. This has dual band Wi-Fi. It's made by Broadcom, by the way, and Bluetooth 4.0. We've had good data speeds and good reception. Not quite as good as the Qualcomm Atheros Wi-Fi in the Dell Venue 8 Pro, though. At any rate, quick experience, certainly quicker than some mobile OS tablets.
And on the front we have a 1.2 megapixel camera.
And now we've got it going 720p
okay.
YouTube video. Speaker is at 80%.
Skype, which of course is now Microsoft product.
Not too bad.
Notice there's no HDMI, no micro HDMI on this. You can do wire.
Flash player controls are a little bit hard to control with the finger because they're kind of teeny, but it does the job. So not a bad speaker, but that is at 80% volume so far. Not as loud as the Dell Venue 8 Pro, which has one loud, rich, and full speaker by 8-inch standards. Competes fine with the iPad mini speakers for sure, though. And now, because this is a regular desktop environment, I'm just going to minimize my browser window right here. We're at the desktop, and we're going to plug in a USB hard drive. And also, by the way, because this is full Windows, we've just used the control panel to change our desktop pattern because Lenovo's default stones is so white it's throwing off the metering on our camera. Anyway, here's a Western Digital Passport 2.5-inch portable hard drive. This is a USB host on-the-go adapter, the kind that I wish I would include in the box because a lot of people probably won't know how to hunt one of these down. But anyway, this is what you need to use USB peripherals with this device. plug the hard drive into that, and then plug this into the USB port up top. Hard drive will spin up. It does provide enough power to power up an external 2.5-inch hard drive, and there's the contents of my hard drive working just fine. So as you can see, yes, it does work with USB peripherals, even portable hard drives, which are one of the bigger power draws, so it's good to know that it's actually working with it. And we can even play music files off the hard drive. It's going to use the default Metro player. Not as loud as our YouTube video. MP3s often aren't as loud as video. But it plays just fine, so. The tablet has a front 2-megapixel camera. Most of you are probably going to use that for Skype, and it's pretty decent. It's a little higher resolution than average. Often we see like 1.2 or 1.3 megapixel. 5-megapixel rear camera. So far on these Windows 8.1 8-inch tablets, they haven't been the greatest cameras. Lenovo's a little bit brighter in terms of the photos that it takes, but still pretty basic. I don't think you're going to be using this as your replacement for a point-and-shoot or for your smartphone camera. Again, the battery is sealed inside, 47 watt-hour battery, and you know, Lenovo drives the screen very bright by default. The auto brightness is actually too bright, which is unusual to see, so that does affect battery life. I suggest that you turn it off, actually, auto brightness, to save battery power, which is the opposite of what I would usually tell you to do. You'll get better battery life. With auto brightness on, I actually was only getting about 6 hours of battery life. Once I turned that off and managed brightness myself, I was getting up to about 7. So it's around the same as the Dell Venue 8 Pro. Once again, a little bit shorter. You know, they have a slightly different capacity battery. Lenovo's just ever so slightly smaller, but within reason, pretty similar. So you could go about up to 7 hours on a charge with this without going to really crazy low brightness settings and that sort of thing. Of course, it does depend on what you're going to do, too. If you're going to be trying to edit HD video on this, not that this is the greatest tool for that, or even streaming HD video for hours, you'll have less battery life than if you're using it to surf websites or to edit Word documents. So that's the Lenovo Miix 2.8. Again, for $299, you know, it's a pretty good bargain if you're looking for full Windows in your pocket, that is. Obviously, you can run desktop applications here, plug in USB peripherals, pretty good and powerful. If you're looking for something just to consume media, you know, an iPad can do, an Android tablet can do, so this is for those of you who need something more. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Visit our website for the full review and hit that like button.